Welcome to Letters to Louie with Abby Algiers. Welcome back, Abby.
Thanks, Sally.
We're going to transport our viewers back to November 1945.
Correct.
You were able to recover quite a few letters that your father, who was stationed eventually at the island of Attu, that he wrote home.
Right, yeah.
And I know that you have quite a stack of them, but you selected some for this particular month in honor of our veterans, which Veterans Day was yesterday. And it'll be fun for our viewers to go back in time and to hear his thoughts and what he was experiencing. And if we stumble on his penmanship, which is beautiful,
right,
I might hand you a letter.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to interpret.
Yes. You're going to be starting off
Yes.
the letters here today.
Okay, so the first one is dated November 4th. Dear folks, here it is Saturday. Another week has passed, and still I've heard nothing of orders. However, 5 of our group have left, and so I should soon go. The last to receive orders was instructed to report to a communications ship. That is the best deal of any of us he received to date. Aboard a communications ship, he will do nothing but work he has been trained in at the training base. The others' work have gone to transport and may be required to do repair or electrician's work. How is everyone at home? I hope you're all fine and that Grandma is continuing to improve. Last night I wrote Grandma and Granddad and told them about Uncle Bert. If I remember correctly, Lawrence should be taking his entrance exams this week. Hope he makes out okay. Today I ran across one of Jack Combs' best friends. He is a mailman in the Main Post Office, petty officer, and on the ship's company. So he arranged that I get special liberty, and he and I are going to Frisco to see the Fleet City play tomorrow. Should be a fine game. Well, folks, there's not much news, so I'll close. Oh, yes, Dad's last letter was very fine. He didn't seem bad at all. Right. Love, Jim.
Mine's dated November 8th, 1945. Dear folks, if you could only see me now. Today at noon, we arrived here at Bremerton to await transportation to Adak. And that's Adak. It's in Alaska. The trip from Shoemaker to here took about 2 nights and a day. It was a very fine trip, beautiful scenery, good meals, the diners, and very educational. I learned how to play pinochle. I am now quartered in a directed Army camp about 7 miles from the naval base. The base is so overcrowded with discharges and others that this camp, an old Army base here, has been tactically created. It's not in a very good shape. The barracks are simply tar paper and shacks. That doesn't sound fun. Heated by 2 big potbelly stoves. This camp was built for temporary use. The barracks were built in a semi-clearing among the firs. Stumps, brush, and holes are still around the grounds, all in terrible shape. Boy, this is a mess, but it is a good rest. I guess I'll be here only a few days, and then the trip to Adak for further assignment. It's very cold up here after being down in California for so long. In the beautiful fir-covered mountains of Northern California, we ran into a heavy snowfall. The pines, tall, stalwart, and snow-covered, were beautiful, just like Christmas card pictures. It was the most picturesque scenery I've ever seen. Someday I'd like to travel and see it as a civilian. How is everyone at home today? I hope you're all fine. Is grandmother still improving? I hope so. We'll write to you soon. I'm feeling fine and am all set for shivering this winter. From all reports, it is mighty cold. Love, Jim.
This one is the 22nd of November, written from the Gulf of Alaska. Dear folks, Thanksgiving 1945. I'd surely like to be home today, but so far, Thanksgiving has been a real Thanksgiving. At Ketchikan, Saturday, we picked up a number of Coast Guard and also a Catholic chaplain. He said Mass Sunday and every day since except Tuesday when he was very seasick. I've been able to receive Holy Communion a number of times and have just returned from Mass and Holy Communion. Incidentally, the 8 years of serving Mass at St. Killian's stood me in good as I've served every Mass aboard so far. Father O'Reilly is from Green Bay, and as usual for a person from Green Bay, he is an ardent Packers fan. He volunteers for this trip because he heard that many of the Coast Guard stationed had not had a chaplain for months. So far, he has taken quite a beating from the seasickness, as the Gulf has been very rough. Quite a sacrifice. It is now about 0800 here, and so at home it should be dishwashing time after a fine dinner of Norbert's prize chickens prepared as only one Mrs. Algiers can prepare chicken. Boy, Mom, I can just taste that chicken. Smooth, rich, tender. Ah, what a meal. Who ate the drumsticks? How is everyone at home today? I hope everyone is fine. Boy, I can hardly wait to receive some mail from home, to hear how everyone is from Mary to Pop. Chow today should be plenty good. Turkey, etc. with all the trimmings. The Navy puts out a fine meal on a day like this, but it cannot compare with the meal at 30 South Rural Street. The Coast Guard base in Ketchikan is located in a most beautiful scenic spot. It's in an island-studded bay in lower Alaska. The islands and mainland are snow and pine-covered mountains and are very pretty. After leaving the bay and its picturesque scenery, we soon forgot about the beauties because out in the Gulf, the sea became darn rough. Somehow, I managed to keep from becoming seasick outside of a full feeling. The sea rolled this tub around like a rubber ball, held over the bow, and in general made life miserable. It was even a job to sleep because you'd almost fall out of bed, out of the sack as the ship rocked. From Dutch Harbor to Adak, the trip should be better, as we'll follow the islands and should be in a calmer water. Well, folks, I guess that's about all for now, so I'll close. Love, Jim.
I can picture that, and I would be very seasick.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so this one is November 27th. Dear folks, after 10 long days aboard the SS Carl Schurz, we finally landed in the prominent land Adak. We pulled into Adak Harbor late Sunday morning, but did not disembark until later in the afternoon. This base is physically appearing opposite of beautiful. That's an interesting line. Yeah. If you recall the pictures of snow and windswept into which appeared in the newspapers during the Adder campaign, you will have a perfect picture of Adak. Of course, on the sides of the mountains, dug halfway in, all our living quarters. Sunset huts. The ground is hardly ever frozen, and so is very muddy. I am now quartered in the receiving of barracks, awaiting further assignment for duty. I believe duty will be on this island. There are different stations on the island, and I may be set to any of them. The chow is very good aboard ship. I had much of an appetite, but now the crisp air has brought it back, and it now is more bountiful. The meals lack greens of any sort because of the strikes in Seattle. Even on Thanksgiving, the fellows went without any lettuce, celery, etc. Too bad. So far as a while, the island doesn't look too inviting, but I'll try to make the best of it. I hope everyone is fine back home. I heard over the radio that the Midwest was hit by a severe cold wave. It's a little bit early for that, isn't it? Hope it wasn't too bad. How is Lawrence doing at Marquette? I hope he is coming along fine. Write me his address as soon as you can. Write soon, and to the address, I'll be here for quite a while. Love, Jim. P.S. Forgot to mention this. As soon as we're assigned, we'll be issued a lot of fall weather gear, including a yacker, parkas, boots, heavy socks, rain suits, and a few lined gloves. So you see, we are well taken care of. With the weather so bad, fall gear is a necessity. That was funny.
Yeah. Dear folks, this is November 27th. If I had any red ink, I'd have used it to write the date on this letter today, as it's truly a red letter day. This afternoon, in a matter of 30 minutes, Jerry and I were moved from a crowded, dirty barracks into a clean, comfortable place in the rear of the ship. About 2 this afternoon, an officer came out and personally picked us up and took us to the CRT shop for temporary duty. Until our orders come from command in Kodiak in about a week, we will be under a temporary duty assignment. After the orders come, we will be permanently assigned here for duty. There are only 2 men at the ship now, and one is leaving for the States tomorrow and the other in about 2 weeks. After that, Jerry and myself will be responsible with the officers for the teletypes on the island. It seems as though we were expected and anxiously awaited for by the men so that they could be discharged. Our quarters here are beyond description. We have a kitchen with a few utensils and stove, private bath and shower, 3 bedrooms, and a fine shop. As soon as the men move out, we intend to remodel one room into sort of a reading room. We should have plenty of time to read and do other things, and so we intend to use it to our advantage. We will also have to learn to drive a Jeep and a truck. The officer himself will teach us to drive, as neither Jerry nor I know how. I'm really glad of that because I've wanted to learn to drive for a long time. We have separate bunks, the officer style with drawers underneath and such. There are also desks, chairs, and desk lamps in the bedrooms. We have a typewriter at our disposal at any time. In the kitchen, the Joe pot sits invitingly on the stovetop, while the cupboards are full of eggs, ham, bread, and butter. Boy, what a deal. Well, folks, I guess I'd better knock off for now. Write soon to the address on the envelope, and please send Lawrence's address. Love, Jim.
Who wants Lawrence's address? That's for sure. That's his brother, just
Right,
so
right,
viewers
right.
don't know that. Yeah. Okay, this is November 29th. Dear folks, just finished a letter to Lawrence on the typewriter. What a mess. How is everyone at home today? I hope you are all fine. I'm very fine too. Today I had my first lessons on driving a Jeep. After a few bumpy starts, I learned the art of a smooth starting and should soon be well on my way to solo. We both must learn how to drive and then take a driver's test for an ADAC license. Today I also repaired a couple of teletypes. From all indications, the work should not be too difficult if we maintain and routine the machines diligently. Nigel, the fellow with whom I came up from the States and with whom I am to work, is a swell guy, very adequate, which helps a lot. I don't think we'll have any trouble at all. For the last 4 days, it has rained, and the wind has blown very hard. I see from that where Adak and its weather are as bad as the Southwest had it. It seems to me that I read that Christmas shipment were finished, but that a package from home could be requested. So folks, here goes. Could you send a well-packed box of those delicious Christmas cookies? which Mom made, and also some of her fruit cake, if Mom made any this year. Also, a bit of Christmas candy, please. Anything else you can get a hold of. Thanks a lot. Chow up here is very good and has improved since yesterday when 1,100 men shipped out for the States. It is really good, and most of the time, a fellow can get seconds. Well, if I write now, there is not to be anything to say tomorrow. So, write soon. Love, Jim. He wrote almost every day.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
interesting. And, you know, I don't know how, other people wrote home, but he definitely was concentrating on the food. And I know that his early life was difficult.
Mm-hmm.
They had no heat. They barely had shoes.
Right.
And so this is really interesting for him to be writing about the rations and everything that he's allowed to have and how important that was to him.
Right. And his mom was also, for a year or two of his life, or maybe more, she had tuberculosis
Right.
and was away.
Yeah.
So I think, just the connection to home, writing to his brother, making sure Lawrence was okay.
Yeah.
I think that's all really significant.
Mm-hmm. And making sure your parents want you to be well fed and well clothed.
Right.
And not having that earlier in his childhood to having it now, I think was an important message for him to send home.
Right. And other letters that I found, he would say, I don't make much money, but I'd like to send some home for you to get something for Mary or his younger sister or Rosalie. Mm-hmm. So he was always kind of looking out for his younger siblings. It was kind of interesting in the letters.
Yeah, very descriptive writer.
Mm-hmm.
I can picture that island not looking so nice.
Right. And then there are some on the Letters to Louie website, there's some stories that he wrote about Etu, which kind of,
Okay.
seeing this now,
Yeah.
I'll link those at the bottom of this latest one,
Okay.
which kind of brings everything together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing this.
Yeah, thank you for reading them.
You're welcome. And to our viewers, as always, thank you for watching. That was cool.
Yeah, that
I
was.
can picture the coffee pot on the stove.
I know. Like even the